Walking simulator is a term that gets thrown around when a game is mainly about getting from point A to point B with minimal other activities involved. But where these games tend to shine are through story. Still Wakes the Deep is one of those walking sims in the horror genre from British developer The Chinese Room. Does this one sink or swim? Let's start with the main game. Story. You play as Kaz, a normal fellow who works on the Barra D oil rig in the North Sea. Co-workers you see as friends and the worst boss in the world are everyday occurrences for you. Until this day, when you're fired. If that isn't enough, just as you're about to leave, an explosion rocks the rig and you fall in the water. After you are brought back onto the rig, a series of mysterious events and bizarre transformations begins to occur. I knew this game was a horror game. What I didn't know was what kind of horror it was. If you told me it was Lovecraftian horror, I would have played this a lot sooner. The story absolutely has problems, one of the biggest of which is the comically terrible boss. Explosions all over the rig, people dying, and him over the loudspeakers saying things like, "This will all get cleared up and I'll have you back working and making the company money again in 15 minutes. The biggest problem with the main character is his backstory of him doing something that gets the police involved, and his wife plans to leave him if he, quote unquote, runs away to the rig. It just didn't work for me. It has no bearing on him throughout the game, on choices he makes, or how people perceived him. And we only see this story through a mixture of flashbacks and optional phone calls. That being said, the story of what happens throughout the game on the oil rig had me intrigued the entire way through. Characters you meet at the beginning and through the game are detailed enough that I don't want anything bad to happen to them, other than the terrible boss. Made me either happy or sad when I encounter them. Gameplay and presentation. The gameplay, honestly, is nothing special. A mostly linear story-based game. There are minimal side routes to explore, and when they aren't very long at all, just a few minutes. Pulling levers, putting out fires with extinguishers, and turning wheels are a few of the other gameplay elements involved. Presentation-wise, I love the art direction. The game is beautiful, not just in its graphical capabilities, but in its representation of Lovecraftian body horror, and how it displays the beauty of the unknown. A lot of the game will have a similar look in the environment, which makes sense because it's an oil rig. A giant piece of machinery, essentially, but that makes other sections stick out in a good way. Also, I have to give them credit. The water looks beautiful when you're going around the rig. I know it seems strange, but it takes a lot to get water right. Siren's Rest DLC. Taking place 10 years later, Siren's Rest sees Mari diving down to the wreckage of the Barra D for more answers. It's a good story, being a beautiful send-off to characters from the game, adding more to their stories, while also giving Mari her own experience with the horror that occurred. Gameplay I found very fascinating as it was mostly underwater, partly exploring the seafloor and swimming through wrecked sections of the rig, including things like using a torch to open pathways, flares to keep the darkness away, and small sections of platforming. I found it a very fun DLC. Lovecraftian horror mixed with a wonderful art direction and story that mostly keeps me incredibly interested in where it's going gives me a game I thoroughly enjoyed. While it has problems, those problems don't take away from the experience overall. Add a DLC that both added to the story and used my love of watching videos of Titanic wreckage being explored as its gameplay style, and this package is a wonderful example of beauty in terror. I give Still Wakes the Deep plus the Siren's Rest DLC an 8 out of 10.